because I can't be with you in class today, we are going to take some virtual notes. What that means is you need to have your grid notebook ready to take notes as you watch this video. If it's easier for you to watch the video all the way through and then copy notes down at the end, that's okay, but you do need a copy of these notes in your notebook for you to reference later. I'm going to start by putting my focus at the top. My focus is least common multiple, which I'm going to abbreviate as LCM. I'm also going to set up my notes page like I always do with 4 quadrants. I know you can't see the bottom quadrant, but it's there, and I'll be pulling my sheet up so that you can see the important notes that we write. This will be our important to remember. And because we don't have board work examples, you could also just do the whole bottom as important to remember. I actually think I'm going to do that to give myself a little more space to write on here. All right, if I go back up, I'm going to talk about a real-world example of when I might need to find a least common multiple. The thing that I think that is so silly about hot dogs is when I go to buy hot dogs, the number of hot dogs in a pack and the number of buns in a pack don't match. And I really like 1 hot dog per 1 bun, like most people would. If I was to think about it as each pack of buns having 8 buns in each pack, and each pack of hot dogs having 12 hot dogs in each pack, I know that there's a way I could figure out how to have the perfect match between my hot dogs and my buns so that every hot dog would go with a bun. But it would mean I would have to buy more than 1 pack. The thing that I'm trying to find in this situation is the least common multiple. I'm going to find this by listing out some numbers or multiples. If I go to think about my multiples of 8, I can use a multiplication chart to help me, but I also practice this a lot so I can list them from memory. I know that 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Times 3, 24. Times 4, 32. Times 5, 40. Times 6 is 48. And I'm going to stop there because I'm running short on space. Extend that over just a little bit. Now I'm going to go to 12. Remember, this represents my hot dogs, and this was my buns. Sorry if that's hard to read. I know my marker tip is kind of wide. If I go to write out my multiples of 12, 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. Times 3 is 36. Times 4 is 48. Times 5 is 60. Now I've listed out my multiples of 8 and 12. Of course, there's more. I could find more multiples if I wanted to, but I think that's enough because I see 2 numbers right towards the front that are the same. I know that if I bought 3 packs of hot dog buns, I would have 24 buns. And if I bought 2 packs of hot dogs, I'd have 24 hot dogs. And I would have my perfect match, 24 and 24. I also see over here, I could buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packs of buns to have 48 buns, or 1, 2, 3, 4 packs of hot dogs to have 48 hot dogs. Now, if I look at these, I know that I have found some common multiples. And I know they're common multiples because these are my multiples, and these are the ones that they have in common. When I multiply 8 a whole bunch of times, I get 24 and 48. When I multiply 12 a whole bunch of times, I get 24 and 48. I know that 8 is not a multiple of 12 because it's not in this list. My list could keep going, of course, but I did choose to stop right there. Now, to find my least common multiple, I know that I'm looking for the least or smallest multiple that they have in common. My least common multiple in this case is going to be 24. Now I'm going to take some time to write down important things to remember so that I can do this again with another example. The steps to finding the least common multiple is to, one, list multiples for both values. Sometimes you'll have to list more multiples than I did if it takes a while to find one that they have in common. But in this case, I didn't have to list too many until that happened. Once I've done that, I can go on to step 2, which is to circle the common multiples, the ones that they both share. And step 3 is to find my least common multiple, LCM, and I'm going to underline that so I remember it. Find LCM by identifying the smallest common multiple. You can pause if you need to write that down. I'm going to go back up here. Let me write my line one more time to do one more example. And this time I'm going to use the numbers 9 and 8. Let's try that. I'm going to find the LCM, or least common multiple, of 9 and 8 by following those steps that I listed. The first one is to list out all of my multiples of 9. And I've done a lot of multiplication charts, so it should be easy. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, and I think I'll stop there because I'm running short on space. Sorry if that's tricky to read on my whiteboard. Struggling here. Okay, then I'm going to go down to my 8, list my multiples of 8, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, and I'm noticing I haven't gotten one in common yet. If I stop here, I don't see a least common multiple because I don't see a common multiple at all, which tells me that I actually need to go back up here and keep listing out more multiples. I'm running out of space, so I'm going to go right underneath. After 54, I would have 63, 72, and I'm going to stop and see if that's enough. I'll go back down to 8, 56, 64, sure enough, 72 is my next one, and I see that I finally found the common multiple. I could keep going, of course, but I'm going to go ahead and pause there because I know that my least common multiple, or the smallest multiple that they have in common, is 72.